Welcome back to the shop. I'm John Peters, and in this episode I'm going to build kind of a reproduction of a piece that I made just about 4 or 5 years ago. The original is a glass top end table. It's a very sculptural piece, and I built the original with one 2x8x8. So it was kind of a study, and the plan today is to make it again with a few changes and use much nicer material. I have a piece of rift and quarter sawn white oak here, so I'm going to use this. And I also have a nice piece of zebra wood that's been in the shop for close to 30 years, so it'll be nice to finally put this board to use. I'm kind of designing this piece along the way, so I'll get started by first cutting the parts to a rough length and width.
Support for this episode is provided by Saburrtooth. I'll have links to all the sanding discs I used to make this project down in the description below.
I'm making the center brace on this table much wider than the original, so I'll get started by cross-cutting this white oak board and then joining the two boards back together. I'll be joining these boards together, so I'm going to run them through the saw first just to take a little bit off each edge to make sure I have a nice seam. These are by far my favorite clamps. Dubuque, made in the USA. Rockler makes a knockoff. It's about the same price, but these clamps are far better. I think it's easy when you're starting out in woodworking to buy a lot of things you probably don't need. So my advice is to just buy a few things and kind of figure out what you need. If you're going to buy clamps though, I highly recommend the Dubuques. And I do have an Amazon store with a link to these. So if you want to help support the channel and get some new clamps, you can click on the link in the description and check these out. Well, the glue's setting up on the white oak. I'll get to work on the parts that are made out of zebra wood.
I've allowed the glue to set up on the white oak base, and now I'll use the crosscut sled to cut all the parts to length. With all the parts cut to length, the next step is to cut the lap joints in the legs.
Like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm kind of designing this project along the way. So after cutting the lap joints in the zebra wood legs, I've assembled the table to kind of get an idea of what's going on, put the glass top on top, and I've decided to cut lap joints in the white oak base. I'll cut these lap joints just a little heavier than 1.5 inches, maybe 1 3/4 inches. That's going to make this space, which is now 6 1/4, probably closer to 3. It'll also give a little overhang with the glass on the front and the back. So the next step is to take it all apart, cut the lap joints in the base, put it back together, take another look, and then move on to the next step. I've set up a stop block, and I'll make the inside cut on all 4 sides. Then I'll take the stop block off, sneak up on this cut to fit the leg. Once I've got a good fit, I'll set the stop block up again, and I can make the lap joint on the remaining 3. Okay, now I have the table back together, and I am going to cut about 1/4 inch rabbet right here that'll lock this glass in. So the glass will be able to shift from front to back, but not side to side. So again, I'm going to take this apart, cut these rabbets, and then I can get started on the power carving. All right, I've got the grooves cut so that locks in the glass. Little overhang on the glass. Now I'm going to take the table apart. I've cut some patterns. I'll trace these patterns on the legs. This is for the inside of the leg. This is for the outside of the leg. And I'll bring this outside and get to work on the power carving. I just finished carving the first one off camera using the coarsest grit, or the coarsest wheel. You can see I left the line on the face and the edge. I'll carve these 3, again using the coarse wheel, and as I go up through the grits, I'll get closer and closer to the line. I finished roughing out the 4 legs using the coarse grit wheel. Now I've switched over to the medium grit wheel, and what's really helping me with controlling the carving is to use my body as a pivot, and I'll maneuver the grinder as I pivot the grinder from left to right.
With the carving looking pretty good, I've switched my attention back to the white oak base, where I've decided to cut a 15-degree taper on the edge.
After adding the 15-degree angle to the base of the table yesterday, I assembled the table and called it a day. Came in here this morning, kind of looking at it, and now I think I should really add this same scallop shape that's on the inside of the leg to the outside of the leg. Definitely a little extra work, but I think it'll be worth it. After gluing up the parts, I made sure to remove any of the glue squeeze out with a wet rag, removed the clamps this morning, gave the piece one final sanding. Now I'm ready for the fun part, applying the finish. Okay, and here is the table with a few coats of finish on it. I think it's pretty cool. It's a fun project. Definitely a little different from what I've been doing, but probably opens up the doors to other designs. I want to give a big thanks to Saburrtooth for supporting my channel. They sponsored this project. These are a lot of fun to work with. The nice thing about them is you don't have to jump right into a furniture project. You can carve a bowl like I did last week. Kind of a very cool, I think, sculptural vessel. It also gives you something you can do with your cutoffs, because there's no way I'm going to throw away this piece of zebra wood. I'll be doing some kind of a sculptural vessel, again using the Saburrtooth sanding discs. I'll have links to all the discs that I used in this video down in the description below. A reminder, if you'd like to build the furniture for your home, I hope that you'll check out my website at johnpeters.com. I have a ton of woodworking project plans on my website, and they all have video tutorials right here on YouTube designed to help guide you through the project and really help you build something that I know you'll be proud of. In other news, I have a few other channels that you may know about. One is Two River TV. That channel focuses on what's going on in the area where I live. Our last episode was on E&M Gold beekeepers. We shot another video last week about a local artist. So kind of a fun project. I hope you'll check that out. I'll have a link to it in the description below. And of course, Today's Craftsman. That's where I've teamed up with Jeff from Green Street Joinery, and we focus on the cabinet making business. A lot of great insight, tools, technology, a lot of fun things going on over there. So again, I'll have a link to that channel in the description below, and I hope that I'll see you there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.
If you love woodworking and want to build the furniture for your home, please visit my website at johnpeters.com and check out the large variety of woodworking plans available. From beginner to advanced woodworking projects, I'm sure you'll find something that will match your woodworking skills and your taste in furniture. All of my projects have step-by-step video tutorials right here on YouTube that are designed to help guide you through the project and will inspire you to spend more time in the shop. So I hope that you'll visit my website at johnpeters.com and let me help you with your next woodworking project.